It's just so frustrating. It's just, I can't keep living like this. I can't. All right. Stacy, have you considered that you might have ADHD? ADHD. Attention deficit hyperactivity disorder. A lot of white people have it. You're saying I have ADHD?
It is so obvious, but it's highly treatable. This can be devastating news for some people.
Yes! ADHD? What? Father God, Father God, Father God, Father God, Father God, Father God, thank you. Wow! Not quite the reaction I was expecting.
Throw your hand in the air. Just don't count. Thank you very much.
Woo! Hey, welcome back to ADHD is the New Black. I'm Stacey Michelle, and yes, I was that excited to get my diagnosis. You mean I'm not broken, worthless, a burden, or lazy? At one time, I believed all those things about myself were true. And honestly, in certain situations, I still battle self-worth issues. But receiving my diagnosis, it empowered me, and it filled me with hope that there could be changes, because now I know the source of all my challenges. And when you know better, it's your responsibility to learn about your brain and do better. Is it easy? But is it worth it? Yes! Yes! Disclaimer. I am not a doctor, a therapist, nor a psychiatrist. I am a comedy writer, audience warm-up comic, actress, and former newscaster. And everything I'm learning, I'm sharing it with you. I am a Black woman with the internet. So let's get to learning about your brain. ADHD, formerly known as ADD, is a neurodevelopmental disorder that affects the part of our brain known as the prefrontal cortex. That's the area of the brain that controls executive functioning, like planning, focusing on and executing tasks. Short-term memory, making decisions, and impulse control are all challenged by symptoms of ADHD. I consider the prefrontal cortex as the boss in the brain. And if you're neurotypical, meaning you don't have ADHD, like my sister, she's so perfect, then you've got a pretty efficient boss who runs your brain like a boss. But if you're not neurotypical, meaning you have ADHD, the boss has left the office
and the intern is throwing a party and the boss is gonna have to clean up after that stuff in the morning.
You can get some.
And ADHD symptoms can vary from person to person. You might have one person who has symptoms that are so mild they aren't really impacted by their ADHD. But then you might have someone who has symptoms that are so severe that they're impairing to every aspect of their lives. And by the way, many states, including the state of California, consider ADHD a disability in the workplace. According to the DSM-5, ADHD presents as 3 different types. You might be the hyperactive, impulsive type, the primarily inattentive type, or you might be a combination of the two. That's me! So what does that look like? Well, if you're the primarily hyperactive and impulsive type, you might find it hard to sit still. You might find the constant need to jump around and move, just full of energy, always on the go, 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 go. You're impatient. You can't wait in line behind people. It's like, you're honking your horn. You just can't sit still. You've got nervous energy. You've probably got anxiety. You might butt into other people's conversations a lot. Hey, I don't mean to butt in, but I'm also into feet. Did I hear an Irish accent? I just had my ancestry DNA done. I am 3% Irish. My cousin had the same condition. I don't mean to eavesdrop, but I don't mean to interrupt your conversation, but did I hear a British accent? I just had my ancestry DNA done. I am 20% British. Are you Nigerian? I just had my ancestry DNA done. I am 27% Nigerian. Oh, I don't mean to interrupt you again. Actually, Ancestry DNA sent me an update. I'm no longer Nigerian. I'm actually from, what's that country next door to it? The inattentive types. Well, the inattentive types, those are the ones that are highly Inattentive types tend to miss important details, not follow instructions. They tend to put together IKEA furniture without even reading the instructions. Inattentive types tend to lose things a lot, like cell phones, wallets, keys, eyeglasses, their minds. Inattentive types tend to drown in their own clutter. And then there are those with the combined type of ADHD. That's me! When I first told a close friend about my ADHD diagnosis, their reaction was, well, everybody loses things sometime. Everyone's a little ADD. Although it's true that sometimes everyone might occasionally lose things, or forget things, arrive places late, or struggle with managing money. But for those of us who are challenged with ADHD, those symptoms persist all day, every day, all the time. I don't want to brag, but I have those symptoms all the time. So no, everyone's not a little ADHD some of the time. You either have it, or you don't. So if you're wondering whether your symptoms might be ADHD, I've put a link in the description to Attitude Magazine's self-test. And because this show is for Black women and women of color with ADHD, I've put the black tests in the link. There's no black test. There should be. It's called Attitude Magazine. I've put a link to the adult self-test and the self-test for women. A woman with undiagnosed ADHD will more than likely be misdiagnosed with another condition later in life. For instance, with bipolar depression or with anxiety. There is an entire generation of women who have never been diagnosed with ADHD but have the condition all the same. That is why it's important to get diagnosed and to get treated. Okay. Remember back at the beginning of the episode, my reaction to receiving my ADHD diagnosis? Yes! Yes! I'm curious, if you've been recently diagnosed with ADHD, how do you feel about it? Listen, there's no right way or a wrong way to feel about getting an ADHD diagnosis. Some of the most common emotions that adults who have been diagnosed later in life tend to feel are anger, grief, shame, and hope. My hope for you is that you'll feel relief in knowing that the symptoms you're experiencing are normal for you, and it has a name and it can be treated. In the next episode, we're going to look at those emotions and we're going to put a spotlight on shame. Okay. All right. And just remember, there's no shame in asking for help when you need it. Queen sisters, my name is Stacy Michelle, and this is ADHD is the new black. ADHD is the new black. Blackity, 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 black.